Another day in the life of watching movies. So, let's see what's on Amazon Prime here, shall we? Oh, Home Alone Holiday Heist is available to rent. Well, I remember when I first saw it back in 2012, I didn't like it, but do you think my opinion will change if you watch it? Well, let's find out, shall we? Luke, don't watch it! Future me? What are you doing here? I'm here to warn you about something very dangerous. Oh no, you're here to start watching this film, aren't you? Well, in that case, I'm going to give you my iPad. Thank you, Luke. You're doing the right thing. I've tricked him again, because he's taken my iPad thinking I was watching a film on that, but guess what? I've also got Prime on my phone, meaning I can watch it on here, so I'm going to give it a watch now. Well, that was a massive mistake, wasn't it? Giving my future self my iPad and watching my film on my phone instead. Oh, hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, it is time for another movie review today in the franchise of Christmas, which I love, which is Home Alone. But it's unfortunately for a film in a franchise I hate. And this is also the last one in the franchise I'm ever going to watch because this was the film that killed my interest in watching any more Home Alone films. And that, of course, is none other than 2012's Home Alone, The Holiday Heist. So, this film, directed, of course, by Peter Hewitt, as I said, is the last one I'm ever going to see because I hate this movie. So, now, how was this film made? So, just like the previous movie, of course, which is the abomination, which is Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House, this film was developed as a made-for-television film, originally titled Home Alone, Alone in the Dark, and development began in March 2012 as a co-production between ABC Family and Fox TV Studios, and these companies actually co-produced Home Alone 4 as well, and the film was filmed in Winnipeg in Manitoba, Canada. So once again, it did not film on location in Chicago for some reason, which I think is a silly move. And I'll get this, guys, as well. This film, unlike the previous 4 films, is not set in Chicago for some reason. So I don't understand why they had to take the film out of the location. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Chicago is the only place where Home Alone should take place. And so, when it comes, of course, to how this film got released, it, of course, was released to television on November 25th, 2012, on ABC Family, initially on the network, and it received mainly negative reviews. And I am not surprised whatsoever because I personally think this franchise has gone downhill so badly. As far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 great films in this franchise, and after that, it just goes completely downhill afterwards. And this film is definitely no exception to me because when it comes to my reaction to this film, so 11 years ago, I was spending a weekend at my grandparents' house in November 2012, and this film came on television because it was, of course, released on television. And I thought, you know what, let's see how bad this film is, shall we? So I gave it a watch, and when I watched it, I absolutely hated it. Like, I think it's absolutely terrible from start to finish, in my opinion. Just a dreadful film, and a film that completely killed my interest in watching any more films of this franchise. Now, I did not see the film since I initially saw it because of how much I hated it. But in preparation for this trash talk, I rewatched the film, and guess what? It still sucks to this day. But what I will say is, now that I'm older, because this was 11 years ago when I first saw it, I've noticed some qualities the film has, which in my opinion makes it slightly, and I say slightly because this film is still trash to me, in my opinion, slightly better than Home Alone 4. Just a little bit, though, because this film still has lots of bad things in this. Lots of them, unfortunately. So, when it comes to, of course, what I think, I now regard it to me as the second worst of the films, because of those very few redeeming qualities which I'm going to get to now. So, when it comes to the characters in this film, my personal favourite character in this film is most definitely the businessman, Mr. Carson, who is played by the absolute legend, which is Ed Asner, rest in peace. It's always a pleasure to see Ed Asner on screen in his live-action roles and his voice roles, and I think his character in this was to me, the best character. It was an absolute joy to see Ed Asner on screen in this, and his character was very nice and friendly. I really liked his character. So I personally think he was the best character in this film. And if you guys were to ask me if I've got a favourite out of the bad guys in this, because there's 3 of them in this film, I personally would regard Sinclair as my personal favourite out of the three of them, mainly due to my love for Malcolm McDowell, who plays him. I think he's a great actor, and I think he was, in my opinion, the best one out of the three of them, but it's not saying much because he's definitely, in my opinion, nowhere near as good as Harry and Marv from the first two films, and I dare say anywhere near as good as the four criminals from the third movie as well. But, in my opinion, slightly better than Discount Marv and Via from Home Alone 4. And in my opinion, better than Molly as well from Home Alone 4, if we're going to talk about older characters, that is, who are villains. And I also liked how the opening of the film had a Christmas-style remix of the theme song of a franchise. So, I'm not going to deny that Home Alone 3 and this film are bad films, but at least, unlike 4, they do have a portion of the theme song by John Williams, just a bit remixed. So, at least they have that in them. But it's not really saying much, because in my opinion, they're still bad movies. And now we get to about quarters of this film. So, once again, just like Home Alone 3, this film makes the mistake of not connecting to the previous movies because it features new characters being the Baxters. And the main character, Finn Baxter, played by Christian Martin, I was personally not a fan of Finn Baxter whatsoever because I personally found him a very annoying character in this film. Definitely, in my opinion, more annoying than Alex was. Because I personally thought Alex was a decent character in Home Alone 3. But Finn, in my opinion, was much worse. But not as insufferable, in my opinion, as Discount Kevin from Home Alone 4. I'll say that at least. And because what I hated about Finn in this was how his whole life just revolved around video games, really. And he didn't care about anything else, really. All he cared about was playing games. What I think is also so stupid is how he literally describes his traps setting up as if it's a video game. Like, he's making out that games are just like real life, but like, that's not how video games work. Oh my goodness. So I personally think Finn was a stupid character in this, to be honest. Just a very lame character compared to the absolutely amazing Kevin McAllister from the first two films. Like, out of these characters, Kevin, in my opinion, from the first two films can never be topped. And this one definitely shows it. And I also, as well, did not like Finn's sister in this, Alexis, played by Jodelle Ferland. Alexis was such an annoying, atrocious character from start to finish, just insufferable. I couldn't stand her whatsoever. Like, she really got on my nerves in this film, and I found her so annoying in lots of the scenes, pretty much. She was just so annoying, really. I couldn't stand her. Like, her scenes were so hard to watch because of how annoying she was. And I also wasn't really a fan of Finn and Alexis, his parents, Catherine and Curtis, either. Wasn't really a fan of those two, to be honest. Wasn't really a fan of them. And when it comes to the other accomplices who are working with Sinclair, being Jessica and Hughes, I personally wasn't a fan of either of those. I thought they were both very annoying characters, just one-dimensional, bland and annoying, really. Wasn't really a fan of those two. Although I did like how Hughes was named after the writer of a franchise, his first 3 films, John Hughes, rest in peace. So I did like how they did tribute to John Hughes in that sense, really. But the character of Hughes just really got on my nerves. I thought he was very annoying. I'm saying applies to Jessica. Like I said, in my opinion, Sinclair was the only good one of the villains, as far as I'm concerned. Although he does not come close to Harry and Marv or the 4 villains from Home Alone 3. I'll say that. And once again, just like the last 2 films in this franchise I've trash talked, this one makes the massive mistake where the film is Home Alone in the title only, because the main character is once again not Home Alone. Because he spends pretty much the entire film with his sister Alexis in their new house. That's all it is, really. So that was just so stupid how they didn't learn from the last 2 films. That was just ridiculous in my opinion. So yeah, screw this film for that. And one thing is also so dumb as well is how it has lots of these attempts to homage the first 2 films. But in my opinion, the execution just fails miserably. For example, the scene where Finn, of course, shaves. But like, unlike Kevin, he doesn't scream. So that homage to a Kevin's shaving scenes just went horribly wrong in my opinion. Like, this film's attempts at homaging the first 2 films just went so horribly wrong in my opinion. Like, just so stupid, I must say, really. Absolute garbage. And also, as well, what I think is also so dumb about this film is, once again, just like, of course, the last 2 films, it does not feature a character who we think, of course, at first is a villain, based on, of course, how they appear at first, when the main character sees them and then, like, runs away or something. But then they of course, meet them towards the end, and it turns out they're good, and then they save the main character, really. Like, that, in my opinion, just was, you know, wrong how I didn't include it, because that helps make a Home Alone film in that sense, really. wasn't even in this film. It was completely absent, and that made me furious. Like, this film, apart from including the theme song of a franchise at the start, just lacked the spirit of what Home Alone should be. And when it comes as well to the traps in this, in my opinion, the traps absolutely sucked. They were nowhere near as creative or as funny, in my opinion, as the traps in the first two films at all. They're just so lame in this, really, and just pathetically done, I must say. Like, traps I was not a fan of whatsoever. Like, they could have done the traps so much better in this film. And as well, when it comes as well to, Finn's video gaming friend Simon, as well, in this, I thought the scene where he, of course, tries to help Finn by calling his mother on the phone, using, of course, Finn's gamer tag, was, in my opinion, a very stupid scene. Like, oh my god, I just couldn't stand watching that scene. Like, a lot of the scenes in this, I just couldn't stand watching because they were just so annoying, in my opinion. Like, the only part of the film which I genuinely smiled at was Ed Asner's scenes, and that's it. Like, seeing Ed in the film just made me smile, but other than that, I was angry. And I will say as well that, apart from a few chuckles I had, of course, with Mr. Carson's scenes, thanks to Ed Asner being such a great actor as him, I didn't even laugh watching this film because I personally didn't find the film funny whatsoever in the scenes that didn't involve Mr. Carson because of how insufferable it was. So I feel this film, just like the last two films I've trash talked, they just lack what made the first two films so amazing. And when it comes, of course, to this film, it's also completely annihilated my interest in wanting to watch any more Home Alone films, because when I first saw this film in 2012, it was proved to me that they're not going to improve this franchise whatsoever as far as I'm concerned. They've had that chance with 3 films after the second film, which to me is the last great one, and they've failed miserably, so I see no reason now why I should continue. So, if any of you guys are going to be asking me, will I be checking out Home Sweet Home Alone, which came out in late 2021, my answer to that is hell no. Because I have no doubt in my mind I'm going to hate it, because I've heard good things about it from many of my friends who have seen it, and based on what I've heard, it looks like I dodged a bullet, I'm missing nothing. And I have seen the first trailer, and I was very appalled by it. I thought it was absolutely terrible. Like, you know it's so bad when even the trailers suck. And yeah, the trailers, in my opinion, were just embarrassing to watch, and I'm not going to see it. Because this film, which I've trash talked just now, I would completely annihilated any interest I'd have in wanting to watch any more Home Alone films. So there's no way I'm ever going to watch or review Home Sweet Home Alone whatsoever. I'm not interested in seeing that, because this film just annihilated my interest in it. Like, it's just absolutely embarrassing, this film. Like, it's not funny, in my opinion. The characters I don't care about whatsoever in this film, really. Like, I just couldn't stand this film, really. But after last night's rewatch, like I said, it's not as insufferable, in my opinion, as Home Alone 4. Home Alone 4 are now I regard as the absolute worst one, because it massacred such great characters with those horrendous recasts and just an absolutely atrocious story, which, in my opinion, was just terrible. Like, one of the worst ones I've ever seen in my life. This was actually one of them, so I would definitely say this film belongs on a naughty list for that reason, just like the other 2 films of this franchise that came after a second film. Yeah, this franchise to me is dead, and there is no chance of me watching any more films of it at all. So, yes, I would definitely say this film is the second worst of a franchise now. If you were to ask me what my score for the film is out of 10, well, because I was very few doing quarters, as I said, such as Ed Asner and also Sinclair being my favourite out of the 3 villains, and of course the remix of the Home Alone theme song was started with a Christmassy feel to it, I would probably give it a 1 out of 10. And that's not really saying much, because the film, despite those few doing qualities, is still trash as far as I'm concerned, and now that I've trash talked it, I see no reason why I should watch it again. Just like the other 2 films I've trash talked in this series, I will only stick to rewatching the 2 films I absolutely love, especially 2 because it's my favourite Christmas movie of all time. I'm hoping to one day upgrade to Blu-ray, just like I got the first one on Blu-ray. But as far as I'm concerned, Home Alone to me is only the 2 films, just 2 of them. And I like to pretend there isn't 6 films. So, this was me, of course, doing my trash talk Home Alone The Holiday Heist from 2012. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to tell us in the comments what you guys think of Home Alone The Holiday Heist. I'd love to see what you guys think of it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe movies to come in the future. And Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And have a Happy New Year.